I'm definitely not Mitch Connor. And I've been shilling by not shilling at all. Hopefully it's helping make a paranoid egomaniac more paranoid because it's fucking ridiculous. And that includes this document, which I personally think is a fraud. But that's because I think Edward Snowden's a fraud. See edwardsnowden.com here? The Art of Deception, training for a new blah blah blah. Bunch of fucking bullshit pictures in here, and essentially, I got to lay out why I think Edward Snowden's a fraud, okay? And one reason is mirrored in this article right here by John Rappaport. And for those of you who think, because he's connected to Alex Jones, he might be a shill, well, I tell you, I don't think he is. I don't know if you remember the little Ebola. See, well, Alex Jones was reporting on that heavily. John Rappaport was doing articles like this. Does the Ebola virus even exist? The Ebola test. Let the test's inventor speak. See, he didn't think the Ebola virus even existed. Okay? And I'll leave links for these articles, of course. But I'm going to read this one real quick, and then we're going to go into Edward Snowden. I tried to share this with All About Perception when he recently made one about Ebola because he missed this one. Probably wasn't reading John Rappaport, but that's okay. I told him to search for it because I honestly didn't have the time to search for it. I've been kind of busy lately with work and hanging out with friends and stuff, because I do have a life. But, of course, I can have long conversations also with myself under the, guise of less than a dime, where there are paragraphs upon paragraphs and stuff. Yeah, that's totally possible. Talk about fucking paranoid retardation. Anyway, let the test inventor speak. Amidst the hysteria about Ebola, one stubborn fact sits like a rock. Everything depends on being able to accurately diagnose Ebola in each patient. And then it follows. You must examine the test that is being used to diagnose Ebola. Is it accurate? Does it have flaws? Is it being applied correctly? Because if there is a serious problem with the test, the whole house of cards collapses. The entire narrative about Ebola is fatally flawed. Last week, when a man admitted to a hospital in Dallas, the CDC held a press conference. CDC Director Tom Frieden said that this patient had been diagnosed with Ebola with a test that is highly accurate. It's a PCR test of blood. Should we listen to the man speak it? Fuck it, it's 30 minutes. Link is in the fucking article. This indeed is the choice test. 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Well, you can go and do that. However, as I've written, the PCR test has problems. It's open to errors. One of those errors might occur right at the beginning of the procedure. Is the sample taken from the patient actually a virus or a piece of a virus? Or is it just an irrelevant piece of debris? Another problem is inherent in the method of the PCR itself. The test is based on the amplification of a tiny, tiny speck of genetic material taken from a patient, blowing it up millions of times until it can be observed and analyzed. Researchers who employ the test claim that, as a result of the procedure, they can also infer the quantity of a virus that is present in the patient. This is crucial because unless a patient has millions and millions of Ebola virus in his body, there is absolutely no reason to think he is sick or will become sick. So the question is, can the PCR test allow researchers and doctors to say how much of a virus is in a patient's body? Many years ago, journalist John Lauritsen approached a man named Kary Mullis, who is a very important man here, because we'll see soon, for an answer. Source 1. For a brief excerpt from Lauritsen's article about Mullis, see Frontiers in Public Health, September 2014, about AIDS and HIV. For John's 1996 article in full, has Provincetown become Protease Town? Kary Mullis is thoroughly convinced. Now, we're not talking about HIV here. But anyway, Kary Mullis is a biochemist. He is also a Nobel Prize winner in 1993 in chemistry. Oh yes, one other thing. Mullis invented the PCR. And here's the link that opens up right here. So, as it says here, when I stumbled on PCR in the spring of 1983, this is the guy that did it. Kary Banks Mullis. Okay. And we read further down in the article through a bunch of scientific gibberish that I could really give that much of a fuck about because I really hate all the fucking jargon. My second misconception, see, there was at least 3 misconceptions driving me back towards PCR, he says, and to go on. My second misconception was that the procedure I was planning would work at all, because it didn't. And then, yeah, I shouldn't have skipped over this paragraph. I had not read this article in a while, and I'm just going through it off the fly, so... Quantitative PCR is an oxymoron. Here's the link. Here's the link opened up. Virusmyth.com. Mullis, who won the Nobel Prize in Science for inventing the PCR, is thoroughly convinced that HIV is not the cause of AIDS. With regards to the viral load tests, which attempt to use PCR for counting viruses, Mullis has stated quantitative PCR is an oxymoron. Okay. He also won the Nobel Prize for it, I said already. The polymerase chain reaction. I don't know what the fuck polymerase. I'm not a science jargon guy. Nonetheless, all links are in the article, so I'll leave the link to the article. So, thus, there's no Ebola. But now let's get back to Snowden. Unanswered questions for ex-CIA officer Edward Snowden. Now that the documentary Citizen 4 has been released, and now that it has won an Oscar, it's time to revisit unanswered questions, which I raised soon after Snowden's identity was revealed to the world. There's a Spygate archive. This is not an article about the value of the documents Edward Snowden took from the NSA. I leave those judgments to others, which I've already stated my judgment on that. If he's a fraud, most of the documents are probably fraudulent too, giving people a false idea of what is actually going on and probably trying to scare people to make them think the NSA is more powerful than it is. And even if it is that powerful, I don't give a fuck. They can suck my fucking dick. Okay? I'm not scared of them, and neither should you be. Take up your cross and walk after me, said Christ. Anyway, that basically means accept persecution, because you're going to get it if you fucking care about the truth. Okay? So anyway, this article is about Snowden himself and his backstory. So far, I see no reporter who has directly asked Snowden even faintly challenging questions about his background. I find that quite odd, and the number of people who don't find it odd makes the situation even odder. If a man came to me stating he was an ex-CIA officer who had taken a huge cache of vital documents from the other major spying agency in the U.S., the NSA, I would want to know a great deal about him. I wouldn't care that he was an engaging young man who appeared to be committing a heroic act on behalf of freedom. I wouldn't care because I know that people who work for intelligence agencies are prepared to lie. They are trained to lie. They believe in lying. This is basic knowledge that any reasonable reporter would have. Yet in Snowden's case, an exception has been made. Why? As soon as you see a photo of Snowden for the first time, you realize he's the perfect image of the techie's counter-spy. Young, thin, bespectacled, vulnerable. You have to wonder, if he'd been 60, balding, fat, with a constant sheen of nervous perspiration on his chubby cheeks, would he have grabbed so much positive attention from the get-go? Would reporters have refrained from grilling him about his backstory? Within a day of Snowden's identity being revealed, details of that story appeared in the press. Upon reading the story, a number of questions sprang to mind. To my knowledge, none of them have been satisfactorily answered, or even posed by journalists who have had direct access to Snowden, like Glenn Greenwald. Why do potential or possible holes in Snowden's backstory matter? Because holes always matter. They can lead to unexpected discoveries. They can reveal that a person is more than he says he is, different than he says he is. In 2003, at age 19, without a high school diploma, Snowden enlists in the Army. He begins a training program to join the Special Forces. The sequence here is fuzzy. At what point after enlistment can a new soldier start this training program? Does he need to demonstrate some exceptional ability before Special Forces puts him in that program? By the way, if I recall properly, he was deemed as a pretty normal guy. I mean, he's computer smart, but I mean, exceptional. I wouldn't say it's exceptional, any description I've seen. But Snowden breaks both legs in a training exercise. He's discharged from the Army. Is that automatic? How about healing and then resuming Army service? If Snowden was accepted in the Special Forces training program because he had special computer skills, then why discharge him simply because he broke both legs? Circa 2003? Snowden gets a job as a security guard for an NSA facility at the University of Maryland. He specifically wanted to work for the NSA? It was just a generic job opening he found out about? Not to mention he's a skinny fucking pipsqueak. Also in 2003, Snowden shifts jobs. He's now in the CIA, in IT. He has no high school diploma. He's a young computer genius? What kind of work does he do for the CIA until in 2007? He is sent to Geneva. He's only 23 years old. The CIA gives him diplomatic cover there. Diplomatic cover is serious status. Snowden is put in charge of maintaining computer network security, a major job. Obviously, he has access to a wide range of classified documents. Sound a little odd? He's just a kid. Maybe he has his GED by now. Otherwise, he still doesn't have a high school diploma. Snowden reportedly says that during this period in Geneva, one of the incidents that really sours him on the CIA is the turning of a Swiss banker. One night, CIA guys get a banker drunk, encourage him to drive home. The banker gets busted. The CIA guys help him out of that jam, and then with that bond formed, they eventually get the banker to reveal deep banking secrets to the agency. Snowden is this naive? He doesn't know by now that the CIA does this sort of thing all the time? He's shocked? He didn't sign up for this? Furthermore, if this banker story is true, and if Snowden is the source for it, why did he reveal it? All sorts of people should be able to do a little digging and figure out who the Swiss banker is, thus blowing the banker's cover and exposing him. Was that Snowden's intention? In 2009, Snowden leaves the CIA. It should be noted here that Snowden claimed he could do very heavy damage to the entire U.S. intelligence community in 2008, but decided to wait because he thought Obama, just coming into the presidency, might make good changes. After 2 years with the CIA in Geneva, Snowden really had the capability to take down most of the U.S. intelligence network, or a major chunk of it. He had that much access to classified data? Snowden goes on to work for two private defense contractors, Dell and Booz Allen Hamilton. In this latter job, Snowden is assigned to work with the NSA. He's an outsider. Oh yeah, don't forget, he already claimed this shit, right? They can take him down in 2008. And he still goes on to work for the NSA, huh? He's an outsider, but he claims to have access to so much sensitive NSA data that he can take down the whole U.S. intelligence network in a single... He kind of repeated that already. How many people work in highly classified jobs for the NSA? Here's one man, Snowden, who is working for Booz Allen, an outside NSA contractor, and he can get access to and copy documents that expose the spying collaboration between NSA and the biggest tech companies in the world, and he can get away with it. If so, then NSA is a sieve leaking out of all holes, because that means a whole lot of other high-level NSA employees can likewise steal these documents. Many other people can copy them and take them. Are we to believe this? Let's see who's coming to work for us here at the NSA today. Oh, new whiz kid Ed Snowden, outside contractor, 29 years old, no high school diploma, has a GED. He worked for the CIA and quit. The CIA, they don't like us and we don't like them. Why did Snowden quit the CIA? Oh, never mind. Who cares? No problem. Tell you what, let's give this kid access to our most sensitive data. Sure, why not? Everything. Let Snowden see it all. Sure, what the hell? I'm feeling charitable. He seems like a nice kid. Sometimes cognitive dissonance, which used to be called contradiction, rings a gong so It rings a gong so loud it knocks you off your chair. Let's see. NSA is the most awesome spying agency ever devised in this world. If you cross the street in Podunk anywhere, USA, to buy an ice cream soda on a Tuesday afternoon in July, they can know. They know if you sit at the counter and drink that soda or take it and move to the only table in the store. They know if you lick the foam from the top of the glass with your tongue or pick the foam with your straw and then lick it. But this agency, with all its vast power and dollars, with the brightest, sharpest minds in the business, can't protect its own data from outright theft, can't lock up its own store, they overlook their own security systems, never set them up right in the first place. Forgot to. Let's see if I can finish this in the next few minutes. And they can't track one of their own. A man who came to work every day. A man who made up a story about needing treatment in Hong Kong for epilepsy and then skipped the country. Just can't find him. Can't find him in Hong Kong, where he does a sit-down video interview with Glenn Greenwald and Poitras and McCaskill. Can't track the reports to Snowden's hotel. Can't find the place where Snowden's staying. No, can't find him or spy on his communications while he's in Hong Kong. Can't figure out he's booked a flight to Russia. Can't intercept him at the airport before he leaves for Russia. Too difficult. And this employee, is walking around with 3 or 4 laptops and contain all the keys to all the secret spying knowledge in the cosmos. Can't locate those laptops. The most brilliant technical mind of this or any other generation can't find a computer in the Outer Mongolia in the middle of a blizzard, but these walking around computers in Hong Kong are somehow beyond reach. In essence, how did he get away with all this shit if the NSA is so fucking all-powerful? Maybe it's because they're not, but they're trying to get you to think that they are. That's my opinion. You can have your own, you can make up your own. Lay out the facts. Analyze them. Come to conclusions, then reanalyze them. Reanalyze the facts, see if there's anything you missed. Because I'm sorry, they're not as powerful as you think. I mean, these people that they supposedly catch, whether it's the CIA or NSA or FBI, most of them, they really do that much through surveillance. I mean, people are saying things publicly, like on Facebook and whatever, so what? They set these people up, okay? They fund them. They supply them with, fake bombs. I've been over that before in my videos, and feel free to watch them if you like. It's up to you. But to reiterate my point, if Snowden's a fake, this is probably a fake document. Plus, government documents tend to not be this easy to understand. They tend to be doing them in legalese so that the average person reads them and just like, huh?